Before we jump into a Bears rumors roundup, I thought it would be fun to kind of go back in time a little bit to the good old number 6 days. So, were you a pro or anti Jay Cutler Bears fan? I'm talking like peak anti-Jay, or Jay's, really at the top of everyone's minds, like 2012, 13, 14, that kind of range. Let me know the P for pro or an A for anti. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson filling in for Harrison Graham. I know it's a bit confusing because he's been on some episodes lately. Those were just episodes recorded before he left. He spent a lot of time in the lab with producer Jack, cranking out content so you guys would be covered while he's gone. He's still in Italy, so I thought I'd step in today and just kind of get a bit of a roundup going on the latest Chicago Bears rumors. Plus, it gives me an opportunity to use probably the best rumor heads we have here at Chat Sports, Smoke and Jay. So let's get started. First rumor on today's show, Justin Fields to Darnell Mooney. Is that taking off in 2022? I'm giving this one 3 Smoke and Jays. Good to say that. 3 Smoke and Jays. So an interesting article came out just the other day from NFL.com's Kevin Patra, where he picked Darnell Mooney as his NFC non-quarterback MVP for the Bears. So he did it for all 16 NFC teams, no quarterbacks allowed, and Mooney was his MVP pick. And let's be honest, Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields, they are poised to have a huge, I don't know if you call it a breakout season after a really strong first year, but yeah, let's call it a breakout season in year 2 together. So Kevin Patra in his write-up said this about Darnell Mooney. Mooney is in line to see a heap of targets coming his way following a breakout year 2 after the Bears did little to buffer the burgeoning receiver this offseason. Mooney led the Bears with 81 catches, 1,055 receiving yards, and 4 touchdown grabs in 2021, and 523 of Justin Fields' 1,870 passing yards were to Mooney, 28%. Mooney displayed the ability to stretch the field, pretending a good rapport with Fields' big arm capabilities. The Fields-Mooney combo finished the season with an average of 13.4 air yards per attempt, 11th most among all quarterback wide receiver duos per next-gen stats, and just a tick ahead of Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf. With Fields the surefire starter entering year 2, the Bears are counting on Mooney to reach new heights for the offense to flourish under coordinator Luke Getsy. Everything suggests he's ready to meet that challenge. When you look at Darnell Mooney's career stats and the jump he's made from year 1 to year 2, it's really impressive when you also think about how horrendous and unwatchable the offense was last season. It's kind of hard to believe that the Bears had a 1,000-yard receiver last year with an absolutely inept and incompetent offense that didn't even give Fields any reps with the ones until Andy Dalton got hurt. Who would have forecasted Justin Fields maybe starting last year? Not Matt Nagy. Thanks, Nagy, as Harrison would say. But let me pose this question for you guys. Let's get everyone involved once again. Over or under time? 1,200 yards for Darnell Mooney this season. Got just over 1,000 last year. Can he add on an additional 150? O for over or U for under? I'm counting down 3, 2, 1. Fields to Mooney, we have liftoff. I am a big believer in Darnell Mooney really becoming a name to be a household name across the league. The Bears will have some tough primetime games. Every year the NFL loves to do this, where they just toss the Bears on Sunday Night Football in the week 10 to 16 range when no one wants to see that because it's bad. But Darnell Mooney will be one of those guys where people walk away going, well, at least he's good, because there's not a ton of talent on this roster. On the offensive side, outside of Justin Fields, Montgomery, hope and belief for Cole Kmet, but there's not a ton of proven, guaranteed talent. But hopefully Darnell Mooney will be worth watching on offense between him and Justin Fields. Let's make sure that Harrison returns back to the Chat Sports offices with a nice 50K sub channel. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing for him to return from his vacation to. So if you haven't subbed already and you're looking for a free Bears YouTube channel, this is the spot to go. So make sure you hit that big red button and subscribe. All right, moving on to the second rumor on today's show. Velus Jones Jr. He says age is just a number. Giving this two smoking jays, right? I think it is more than just a number when you play professional sports. So he recently joined NFL Network's Adam Ranks on the Sick podcast, and he says he's not really concerned about his age. Despite being a 25-year-old rookie, which is a bit old. I mean, for example, I remember Juju Smith-Schuster, his rookie season wasn't even 21. And I always wondered if he went out to bars and clubs in Pittsburgh, did they even card him? Or we know you're not 21, but you're also Juju Smith-Schuster, that's fine. But 25-year-old rookie, not ideal, right? Can we all agree on that? Not the end of the world, but not what you're shooting for. But then again, this entire NFL draft class was pretty old because they all took advantage of the COVID years and stuck around for an extra year or two. But here's what Jones said on the podcast. People talk about it, but it don't matter. I'm a baller at the end of the day. I know what I can do. Me being 25 years old is not going to stop me from running past people to score touchdowns and stuff like that. I'm going to be fast for a long time, strong for a long time, and making plays for a long time. So it's really irrelevant. I agree he can run past people right now, but to me, it matters 4 years from now because that's when you'd be looking to get a second contract with the Bears. And when you draft someone in day 2 of the draft and you're the team's 3rd draft selection, they've got high hopes, not just immediately in your first year or two, but that you'd be a part of the long-term plan for the organization. And when your first contract wraps up and you're 29 years old when you go to the negotiating table for your second contract, it's not really where you want to be. I mean, look at the wide receivers last year in the NFL who were 29 years old or older. It's a short list that actually had good seasons. Tyler Lockett, well over 1,000 yards. He's been a 3 straight 1,000-plus receiver. Keenan Allen's been one of the best wide receivers for the last decade or so. A.J. Green surprised me. I thought he was washed when he left Cincinnati, but still, he put together a decent season for his age, over 30, 848 yards, 3 TDs. It's a short list, though. I mean, Amari Cooper, who else? Mike Evans was another name that came to mind. Those guys aren't even 29 years old right now, and they've been playing for a long time, it feels like. So there's a bit of a concern on my end of, might not be an issue right now, but what about when that first contract's up and you're a 29-year-old player looking for your second contract? You're kind of one whole contract cycle behind. We've got more rumors to get to in just a moment, but here at Bears Now, we've got other additional content over on Rumble. So make sure you follow us at rumble.com/BearsNow. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers, so make sure you follow us. The link's in the comments and the description. You get exclusive, uncensored videos from my guy Harrison Graham when he returns, so make sure you follow us today at rumble.com/BearsNow. Let's get to our final rumor of the show. Eddie Jackson, is he on his last chance? Is this his last stand as a Chicago Bear? I give it 4 smoking Jays. Yeah, I do believe this is it, right? This is Custer's last stand. This is it for Eddie Jackson this year. Bears Digest, the Sports Illustrated affiliate, picked 5 Bears players for a make-or-break season in 2022. Not much of a surprise, Eddie Jackson was their number 1 candidate. Now, if you're curious, they also had Byron Pringle, which I thought was a bit interesting, as he's entering his first year with the Bears, but so be it. Kendall Vilder, Mario Edwards, and Cody White here were also on the list. But let's unpack Eddie Jackson, because this has been a frustration, a kind of a bit of a tumor for all of us that has grown since he got that big contract extension back in January 2020, and that did not coincide well, of course, with COVID starting and that reducing the salary cap, but leading to Kyle Fuller getting released. But I don't know if that's apples to apples, but it's a bit of a path right there. But anyway, Eddie Jackson, you look at his contract right now, and I'm looking at the dead cap. He's not going anywhere this year, right? He could suck at training camp. He will be on this Bears roster because Ryan Poles is not stomaching a $24.5 million dead cap hit this year. 2023, wow. Big drop off from 24.5 to 9.5. So that is something I could see Ryan Poles maybe putting up with. That's still a decent cap hit, though. I mean, you are paying someone $9.5 million to not be on your team. That's not something a lot of GMs want to do. 2024, it's all the way down to 5.5, especially with the cap going up. That won't feel like as big of a hit as it does right now. But we all know Jackson, got off to a phenomenal start in his career in Chicago. And I don't really know where exactly it went wrong. Everyone's got their theories and stuff on why it just hasn't worked out for Eddie Jackson once he got that extension. Sure, there were a couple calls that took away some touchdowns. To me, I just kind of look back to when he had the game-sealing interception against the Packers in 2018 to win the NFC North, and then he hurt his ankle on the return for all 10 yards out of the end zone, and he was limited after that, especially, we don't need to talk about the postseason game against Philly, but ever since then, I've always wondered, I hope that hasn't just, for whatever, just turned the page and gone down a dark path for Eddie Jackson. Personally, unless he balls out, I think he's either going to get cut next year, maybe he'll agree to restructure his contract, take a bit of a pay cut, and put a lot of that money in incentives and whatnot, but I think this is a make-or-break season for Eddie Jackson. He looks the same that he's looked the last 2 seasons. Is maybe the end for number 39/number 4 in Chicago. So one of my favorite things about Bears now is FGB. I hate the Packers. I hate Aaron Rodgers. I could do a whole video about my hatred for the Green Bay Packers and the Aaron Rodgers. But I am curious, outside of Green Bay, what's the other NFC North team that you hate the most? Is it the Vikings or is it the Lions? I think it's kind of dependent on if you grew up with an annoying Vikings or Lions fan. It's not really annoying Lions fans. They're pretty in reality of, same shit every year, same old Lions. The same old crappiness. But Vikings fans, I don't know. We hired a new guy here at Chat Sports. He's a Vikings fan. I got to sit next to him, so we'll butt heads for a little bit. But let me know which team you hate more. And, hey, while you're down there in the comments section, if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you go ahead and do so. That way you get the best Chicago Bears YouTube coverage out there. Thanks to Harrison Graham and the rest of the Chat Sports crew.